Hello, I'm Dr. Jeffrey Fidel. In this video, I'd like to go over the difference between the egoic self and the no self. The egoic self is the thought of self. This is generally our names, our religions, these words such as I, me, my, and also the form of ourselves, which is usually a visual thought that we obtain when we look in the mirror. This is all in the mind. This is the egoic self. That's who we think we are. Now, who we think we are is not truly who we are. Who we think we are is really what enables us to do the day-to-day things. Of course, we have to use these words, identify ourselves, use language. It's useful, but the thoughts don't define us. No amount of thoughts can recreate who we are. So the egoic self is very useful in the modern day world. We can't really survive very well without communicating. The intellect evolved for just that purpose, for communicating. For the no self, or the anatta, this is the tricky one because it can't be ever spoken. So the no self is not a denial of the existence. It's just that the essence of who we are can never be known conceptually, because then it would reduce us into these words such as I, me, my, myself, or our belief systems, or our visual thought of who we look like. The essence of who we are, that's the no self. It cannot be spoken. It just is this present moment. So even the self is not separate from this present moment. In fact, nothing is separate from this present moment. This present moment is life itself. That's why the present moment could also be defined as universe or multiverse or universes, or for religious people, you could call it God. The point being is that nothing is separate from this present moment. So this present moment is the no self. And that's why it's called no self, because it cannot be defined conceptually ever. It just is this. See, we can't speak of this. This just is. So what is this? Well, this is aware, because whatever this is knows that it is here. And that's what it is. So this is aware. Now, I can't give you a definition of aware either, because that's conceptually. We learn what aware is in school, or conscious. That just means, I guess, awake. We know when we wake up, we're in a different state. So the no self, once again, can't be known. So where do we find out about the no self? Do we find out by reading books? Do we find out in our minds? No, we actually find out when we quiet our mind, bring awareness to the heart, and then listen from within. We listen directly to our heart. We listen directly to our conscience. We listen directly to our inner voice. And it's our inner voice that teaches us just these things. Lao Tzu wrote about it in the Tao Te Ching. He wrote, "Do not go about worshiping deities and religious institutions as the source of the subtle truth. To do so is to place an intermediary between yourself and the divine, and to make of yourself a beggar who looks outside for a treasure that is buried within his own heart. If you want to worship the Tao, first discover it within your own heart. Then your worship will be meaningful." So 2,500 years ago, a group of people knew this and wrote these down to direct us to come to the same realization that nothing is separate from this present moment, that this is life itself, that we are this life. This is found within every human being. Why is it that this information is not in the mind and is in the heart? That I don't know, but I do know that they had discovered 2,500 years ago, and it was those very teachings that I had utilized to discover this truth for myself. In summary, the egoic self is the thought-based identity, which is helpful in the day-to-day world. The no self That's something we find outside of ourselves. Like I said, it can never be spoken. It can never be named. It's just this present moment.